Hello everybody. Now that the Trackblazer scenario has been out for a couple of days, you might have started to notice that the quality of the parents has skyrocketed tremendously, especially for the frontrunner players. A lot of you might be asking, how the hell do people even get this stuff? For example, this Kita-san Black. What is this? This Mihono Bourbon. How did she land all these crazy white skills? In this video, I will pretty much talk about how exactly these Umas are made, and of course it's still RNG, and of course this is still rare, but I will help you understand how this happens in the first place, and of course I'll be giving you how to exactly try to maximize your chances of getting similar stuff. If you wanna buy Carats at an affordable price, Loot Bar has you covered. Buying Carats from Loot Bar is about 11% cheaper compared to the in-game store. And once you join, you will get 2 additional coupons which will further increase the discount that you will get, which of course is great. And once you do the purchase, you can actually self-top up, which means that you can get the Carats almost instantly, which of course is nice. Having a 4.9 star rating on Trustpilot, Loot Bar is a very safe service that you can rely on. Click on the link in the comment section and start saving money using Loot Bar. There will be a parenting Discord server, which I will link in the comment section, which is extremely helpful. A lot of very good parents and pretty much the best parents could be found on this server. So if you are interested in joining, if you are a parent farmer or looking to find really good parents, then consider joining the Discord server. And please be civil, because there are of course going to be a lot of people that will need that parent, and sometimes you just can't get that slot. And that's pretty much it for this server. So let's go back to the original comment. How do we even get this in the first place? Point number 1 is obviously having the common sparks, and point number 2 is having a fixed schedule. Point number 3 is having a decent enough deck that will get you to rank SS, just to increase the quality of the white sparks that you will end up getting. Point number 4, which actually is extremely important, is setting your expectations very high on your borrow slot. There will be some freak out there that will definitely have what you are looking for. And point number 5 is enduring Trackblazer parenting. It is daunting, it takes a lot of time, and if you ever felt burnt out, then take your time, relax, and then you can come back if you really want to. The thing is that if you hit a really good parent in Trackblazer, it will last all the way from Trackblazer and also Grand Life, because we are still going to be making parents in the Trackblazer scenario even after Grand Life, because of the very high affinity, and also the spark in Trackblazer is very good. Point number 1 is having common sparks. White sparks increase their chances depending on how much grandparents and the parent have for a specific skill. For example, if we have groundwork on every single parent, the base odds is only about 20% chance, and it gets increased all the way to 35.4%, which is actually a very big increase. And this is the most important factor actually, because if you want multiple different sparks, let's say for example I want groundwork, I want dodging danger, I also want to have prudent positioning, then I would recommend that you try to find the most amount of parents that have these sparks. Do not really care about the blues, do not really care about the pinks, we're just looking at it from the vacuum. I just want these specific skills. Then we have the double circle skills. For example, the skill standard distance, if you have it on double circle, you will get an extra 25% chance multiplied on the chance of you getting the white spark. So let's say the base value is 20%, you want to multiply that 20% by 25%, so you will get extra 5% chance for you to get the double circle skill compared to single circle. This is going to be very important way down on the line, but it could be helpful if you are using the Kamikami Princess SSR speed card, which is buying the specific gold skill for a specific skill will actually multiply the chance by 2 times. So instead of it being 20% chance as a default, it will be a 40% chance. This is why Umas like Saiyan Sky and Valentine Mihono Bourbon will have fast paced very commonly on their sparks, since these skills are extremely good and you will probably be borrowing an Uma that already has fast paced on their spark. You will get fast paced very frequently. That also comes true with prudent positioning if you bought Cinder Stage. Here is an example. This is a very crazy Mihono Bourbon grandparent. The reason is very simple. She has groundwork, she has dodging danger, she has prudent positioning, she has ignited spirit wit. Very good skills. She also comes in with playtime's over, tail held high, leader sprite. This is pretty much like the best grandparent in the entirety of the global server currently for frontrunners. The reason why she is extremely good is because of the grandparents also, because she has Marazetsuki, which of course has the highest affinity with Mihono Bourbon, which means that you will more likely to get ignited spirit wit. You see the snowball effect? You have very good affinity with Marazetsuki, so you'll likely get ignited spirit wit, since you can't get that from Make a New Track scenario. You have to proc it from inspiration. Regardless, the good thing about this Marazetsuki is that she also comes in with prudent positioning, dodging danger. She also comes in with groundwork and also ignited spirit wit. The same could be said with Dawa Scarlet. Both of them do have different skills, unfortunately. For example, Marazetsuki does not have tail held high, but Dawa Scarlet does have tail held high. Here is an example. Let's say we have dodging danger and prudent positioning on all of our parents, but we do not have groundwork or ignited spirit wit. So right now, pretty much is, if we borrow that Mihono Bourbon, you will have a 26.6% chance of you sparking groundwork and ignited spirit wit, and you have a 35.4% chance of you proccing prudent positioning and dodging danger from when you spark the parent. Prudent positioning, if you are using the Kawakami Princess SSR speed or Falcon power, would jump to 70.9% chance, which of course means that it will pretty much be guaranteed every single time. So here is the math. Let's say we finish a run. We have a 40.8% chance of hitting at least 1 out of the 4 skills, 27.8% chance of hitting 2 out of the 4 skills that we want, 5.5% chance to hit 3 out of the 4 that we want. Ideally, you are looking at this. This is just like if you are extreme grinder, you will have about a 0.9% chance of hitting all 4. It is very rare, but keep in mind that you can ideally set with 2 or 3 for the average player. I would not really recommend going for the one, but I would recommend going for at least 2 or even 3 if you really want to make your Oshi work extremely good. And of course, there is a 22.3% chance-ish to get nothing. And at this point, you know what to do. Now, onto the schedule. You have 2 options if you can run the mild, medium, or long. Ignore the text over here, this is an error. Anyways, this is the Triple Tiara edition, and there is going to be the Triple Crown edition. It depends on your borrow. If you see that they are a Triple Crown user, then just do the Triple Crown edition. And if they are the Triple Tiara user, then just do the Triple Tiara edition. If your Uma cannot run Mile, it's not really the end of the world. However, you will be locked to running Triple Crown, because Triple Tiara has a Mile race, has one of its races. Your Uma can't unfortunately run that, so you can only run the Triple Crown edition. This still gives you good affinity, but it's not as high compared to the mild, medium, and long race rotation. Using the Chronogenesis website, you can actually see how much affinity that you have, and it is very nice, so I'm going to link the Chronogenesis website for you to use it. Regardless, this is the affinity that I have for Mihono Bourbon at Champions Meeting 11. My side here is completely medium and long rotation only, since McQueen only runs medium and long without mild sparks, and I already had a really good power and long spark McQueen. I decided to just save my sanity and use that McQueen instead. And then I borrowed an Opera O, which unfortunately also cannot run mile unless heavy investment in mile. Regardless, I have had still very high affinity, so it is workable, but just know that your affinity will be slightly lower than usual. However, about 240 affinity is actually really good too. Point number 3 is having a strong enough deck that can help you reach rank SS. Here is an example of my deck that I use for Super Creek as a parenting. I use 3 speed and 3 wit, which can be confusing for some people, but I will explain how exactly this works. First things off, I pretty much have 16 star power sparks on my legacy, which means is that the power stat is going to be high from the speed training, which of course is nice, and when I train my wit, I also get extra speed. The good thing about Super Creek herself is that Creek has 20% wit training, so Super Creek will have a lot of wit, she will have a decent amount of speed, and she also gets high amounts of power. For the schedule itself, it's very simple. I'm logged into the Triple Crown because one of the 3 Triple Tiara race is a mile and Creek is a mile G Uma. I cannot run that race unfortunately. However, instead I just run the Triple Crown. So pretty much Taken has a very basic principle. I'm running a front runner, so I will run front runner Super Creek, but under one condition. If there is no other front for, let's say, the Tokyo Japan Derby, okay, there is no other front, I would just run pace Super Creek, because solo front's career is very bad, and considering Super Creek is not a speed increase unique Uma, she will pretty much lose every single time. So just use her as a pace for races that does not contain any other front runner, and for the Kika Show and Tianosho Spring, and also the Diamond Stakes, because Diamond Stakes is a long race, I would just run pace Super Creek to proc her unique and just went off of stamina difference from that. But regardless, outside of these two, I just go with front runner Super Creek. Here is the results pretty much, and as you can see, on average I do average on rank SS. Sometimes I get extremely unlucky and get horrible trainings, bad summer, it happens, there is of course low rolls, but I on average get rank SS. And here as you can see, Super Creek has 20% wet and 10% stamina growth rate. And I just want to say, for the deck itself, Kame Kame Princess, you probably will not have this card at maximum break. It just happens for me to maximum break this card with the Fair Motion banner pools. But I would genuinely recommend just using Fuku Speed as your borrow slot if you do not have it. It is a godsend. The extra stats is so nice. It makes runs much more consistent. It makes you consume a lot less clocks in general, and especially for Umas like Super Creek, you will burn out through a lot of clocks. I have gone already through 100, so I would just recommend everybody to use Focus Speed for parenting. And if you have Kame Kame Princess at maximum break and you're building a front runner, I would genuinely recommend also using this card, because this card also has a 45 initial speed increase and it gives you center stage guaranteed, which of course is great if you're building a front runner. Let's say you're building a different ace, for example, that has, let's say, 20% speed and 10% stamina, but you don't really care about the wet stat in general. What I would recommend is probably run like 3 speed, maybe some power cards, so that like you get your speed, stamina, and power stat over the 1100 stat threshold for you to have more likelihood for them to be a 3-star once you land them. If we go back over here, Super Creek is pretty much 1200 speed, over 1100 power, and over 1100 wit. This one is probably better. I just low rolled the power training in itself, but you get the point. But ideally you just want to have at least 600 in every single stat, and then you just push as hard as you can in order for you to get rank SS more consistently because of the score rating. Here is my pretty much best Super Creek. Unfortunately it's 1-star power, it's RNG after all, but this is a really good lineup already. I have a full power spark from both sides. I pretty much use this Tiamat Pro O as a borrow because it has Mile, which makes my Mihono Bourbon have Mile A, and Mile A is so helpful when it comes to ace building and in order to save a lot of clocks, which of course is nice. But the most important aspect of this Tiamat Pro O is that it's 3-star power, 3-star green, and it also comes in with groundwork and potentially dodging danger, and also Nimble Navigator. Nimble Navigator is not the most consistent one, but it can work, and of course when it procs it's nice. And from the other side, Major Bakui, this one is nice because it has prudent positioning, groundwork. She has also the Unity Cup scenario 1, which of course is nice, and it has 3-star powers, 2-star long. So I just used this Bakui and just loop until I get a decent enough Super Kick. This Super Kick, it's passable, and I'll probably use this one in order for me to save a lot of clocks, not to waste about Super Quick and just cope with 1-star power, since the grandparents are already decent enough. While I do my Super Quick runs, the most important thing that I do is always check my skills before I do a rival race, because there is something called proning your skills. What it is very simple. What I do is that I have a level 4 hint for fast pace, but I do not have any hints for leader sprite. Let's say I want to have leader sprite to show up more consistently. What I do is very simple. I just buy fast paced instantly, since it's level 4 hint, and make it so that there is one less skill from the hint pool that I get from the rival race, which makes leader sprite more consistent to show up. This is why often you see a lot of Umas have dodging danger, even though their legacy might not have dodging danger itself, because you can buy skills at level 4 hint, because level 4 hint and level 5 hint difference is not really that big. So ideally you buy skills at level 4 hint in general, so that leader's pride becomes more consistent. Something like dodging danger, something like front runner corners, front runner savvy, etc, etc. It is extremely good too for the long distance tracks, because Feature Act and Inside Scope are two good skills, especially Featured Act for pace chasers on front runners, since it requires you to be 5th or higher in the second half of the mid game. At a random point you get a target speed increase, which has a decent chance of actually going to speed carryover, since it's at the second half of the mid game. And Inside Scope is at the final corner, which helps you defend, let's say, end closer that gets a high roll and they proc like NSM. You can use Inside Scope to defend against that, or if you're running it on the end closer, you can use it to push even higher. So overall, this is also something to keep in mind. As for the reason to reach rank SS in the first place, non-rank SS Umas, aka Umas that are rank S plus and below, have a 50% chance once they spark the spark itself. So let's say I get Focus. Focus has a 50% chance to be a 1-star, 45% chance to be a 2-star, and a 5% chance for it to be a 3-star, which means that there is pretty much a 50-50 chance for it to be something useful or something that will rarely proc, since 1-star skills on whites don't really proc that often compared to 2-star and 3-star, but with rank SS, the chances actually increases by a lot. So let's say I spark leader sprite, for example, I have a 20% chance for it to be a 1 star, a 70% chance for it to be a 2 star, and a 3% chance for it to be a 3 star. So overall it is extremely good, since you jump from pretty much a 50-50 to an 80-20 split. So pretty much every single spark that you will get will pretty much be 2 star, provided you are rolling on average. So over here, as an example, every single skill, as you can clearly see, is pretty much a 2 star, and for Sevi is only the 1 star over here. Point number 4 is very simple. Put very high expectations on your borrow slot. It is very easy to actually find a really good parent for your cause. For example, I have Mile B Mihono Bourbon. I need a Mile Spark. So I'm going to look at an Uma that has a really good unique for my bourbon, and also very good sparks in general, being Tiamat Pro. However, Tiamat Pro is a Mile E Uma, and actually there was somebody out there that had what I needed, being a Mile Spark, Power Spark, which I value a lot since I have a Borrow 9-star Kita-san Black and a 3-star Green. So there is a lot of people that actually play Umamusume that parent farm, and you want to look for the hidden gems. Here is also an extreme example of some freaks actually existing on global that grind this lineup, being Groundwork, Dodging Danger, Prudent Positioning, and Ignited Spirit Wit. There's actually 5 people on the entire Umamusume server that actually land this thing, which of course is a very good borrow, since you can actually have a very high likelihood to get 2 or even 3 or potentially even 4 if you get really lucky on the spark. And potentially if you are playing with RNG gods, you will probably get a 2 or a 3-star usable pink and also usable blue. And finally, endure. It is not easy for you to just grind the Trackblazer scenario. It takes a lot of time to just complete a single run in the Trackblazer scenario, and there is probably gonna be some sparks that you will see you're going to be disappointed. If that happens and you start to feel burnt out, then just relax a bit, do like a 1 or 2 runs each day in Trackblazer scenario just for the dailies, and then relax. You will come back, you will grind again. That's pretty much it when it comes to parenting. No matter what you do, for the next 8 months, we will just be going back to the Trackblazer scenario. And we are all wishing that we get Spark rerolling. I do not know why Cygames did not release the Spark rerolling at all, not even the super skip, but it is what it is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So you should just try to follow these steps. These steps are going to be extremely important for you to actually hit a decent or potentially a god tier level parent. For example, this Kita-san Black, I think, in my opinion, is probably the best parent ever on the global server currently, because standard distance is good for the next 2 champions meeting, corner adept is good for cheaper professor of curvature, prudent positioning is very good for front, dodging danger is the same thing. You get groundwork, which of course is you must have skill for front runners. You also get leader's pride. This is already a crazy lineup, and you also get glittering star. So if you get cheaper glittering star, you also get a very cheap radiant star alongside of it. And for some reason, this Kita-san Black has Thanos Spring, so you can get Spring Runner. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing and consider joining the community server, link it in the comment section, and consider joining the parenting server, link it in the comment section. And of course, if you're looking to buy cheaper Carats, then consider using Loop Bar. And I hope to see you in the next one.